What's up, boys? Welcome back to another episode of Terran School. Last Sunday I qualified for the $30,000 Alpha X King of Battles tournament, and I beat 3 PROTOSS players in a row with this exact build on this map. So I wanted to share it with you guys so you guys could use it. Maybe I have a new build for the new map pool. This map is going to be released on Thursday, I think, when the new season starts. Maybe Friday, but I think it's Thursday, so I'm not just going to give you guys a good build, I'm going to send you off into the new map pool with a good start as well. It's going to be an aggressive push I'm going to do, and I'm going to... So in this game, I basically just roll over him and kill him, but I also have some replays where... Because I did it 3 times in a row, basically. One time where the game drew out a bit longer, and one game where I actually abused a really sick spot on this map, and I'm going to show you that afterwards. And of course going to attach the replays. You guys know the code if I forget it. So it's just a barracks first gas. You guys know how to do it. 16 barracks, 16 gas. Obviously, like I always say, make sure to download the replay if you want to look at everything very slowly. But this was just a normal barracks gas expand. Now if you want to be safe, of course you go for the SCV scout at 18. So you would rally that one that just finished, the 18th one. Now, one thing I have to add to that is that a lot of times I do a guide. My games are from tournament games, so there may be a bit of mind games involved. So the reason I didn't SCV scout it here is because he SCV scouted, or he cheesed me in the last game, and I defended it, so I was sure he wouldn't cheese me again. Just kind of put a little bit of a score here for context, I suppose. So because he cheesed me the last game I filled, I was pretty sure he wouldn't do it again, so I skipped the SCV scout and that's it. But if you want to be really safe, you have to send out that 18 SCV scout. You know, just rally that straight from your command center. If you want to be a greedy boy like me, you can just do it like this. So we're getting Reaper Marine, very standard. This is like pretty much all my PvP builds. Unless it's something really special like the Beyond build, for example, with the fast Hellions. It's pretty much always going to look like this. You know, you get the Reaper and the Marine. And then you're going to go for the safety bunker. So the way you set it up, I'm gonna keep telling you guys, I say it every time, but you get the factory, and then the reactor, and then you get the safety bunker before the second gas. So because this was a long map and I didn't raise the depot, I could basically make them at the same time. But normally, and this is also a big map by the way, so here it may not even be necessary to get it that fast, but usually you get the bunker, and then you plop down the second gas. Very important for small maps. Just so you don't lose to the adept going straight across the map. In this case he didn't do it. Probably because it's a big map as well. So I'm gonna go for the safety Hellion. Hellion first, then the starport. No, this is if you... I always say, I wanted to pause the game like it was a live game. Of course it's just a replay. So if you want to have the most standard PvP setup, in my opinion, that's completely safe against like anything, is this setup. Plus the SCV scout, so you SCV scout at 18, Reaper Marine, barracks, then gas at the start, and then you go for the Hellion for the follow-up scout. And this is, if you ever want to make a safe opener and you're not sure how to start, this is how it begins. Okay, you can make any safe opener from this. You can even do a tank push from this at 3cc, but this is how you can always open safely. If you want to make your own build or have your own ideas, of course. In StarCraft it's very important to adapt stuff to your own style, you know. If you have your own ideas how you want to play the game, or I don't know, you want to do something different, you want to do more tank pushes but you don't have a frame, then you can always just copy it like this. So, adaptation number 1. If, with this build, specifically, if I play against the Robo or a Twilight, I would make 1 Hellion, like this, and then make 2 Widow Mines, right? And then I would make a Medevac, go for the drop. But since I scouted a Stargate, I'm gonna skip the 2 Widow Mines and make a Tech Lab instead and go for the Cyclone. And the 2 Widow Mines were just before the drop, of course. I guess technically you can defend with Widow Mines, but I just think it makes it more difficult. So usually how I do it is I make the Cyclone here on the factory, and then I get the Tech Lab here. With this build I always go for a Raven no matter what I scout. So that's very important. Now... if you go for the Widow Mine drop, you can do it the exact same way. You're gonna end up making tanks, so either you use this add-on for the barracks or you use it to make tanks. So the setup always looks the same, no matter if you play against Stargate, you get either your Hellion or 2 Widow Mines, or you go for the Hellion and then the Cyclone if you play against Stargate. And he was actually playing it very safer. I wasn't sure what all these batteries were about. Guess I must have frightened him with something I was doing in the other games, I don't know. So this is just for scouting, by the way. If you scout a Stargate, what's important to actually scout is if they're making Phoenix. Like, if you look at it, this icon's actually annoying. In-game, you don't see this icon. But if you look at the Stargate, can I actually remove that? Wait, maybe if I go back a little bit. When my Reaper was still alive. Oh no, even in the replay you can see it. Well, normally this icon is not there. But you can actually see the unit that's building in the Stargate. By the, you see? You can see the Phoenix right here if you look at the Stargate. So if you play against a Stargate, I actually really like to follow up Scout so you can see if it's an Oracle or Phoenix or these days even a Void Ray building. So even if you see the Stargate, if you have a Reaper alive, you can always go back in and scout the Stargate. So this is what you do afterwards. You get the 2 barracks. Now these are going to take over the add-ons. If you have time, because the Hellion and the 2 Widow Mines, it works out a little bit different than just straight for the Cyclone. So if you can afford a tank before switching it over, you can make a tank. If you can't, which means, imagine if the barracks already finished by the time you finish making your factory units, you will just make another tech lab with this factory. So I'll just show you what I mean with that. It's not going to be super complicated, I promise. So after the 3 barracks, you go for the eBay and the gas. Once again, this is completely standard setup for any Terran builds. Now you're going to have to counter the Phoenix a little bit. This time the timing barely worked out for me. I should have defended it a little bit better. So what I like to do with the Raven is send it across and just go for turret harassment. If you play against Stargate, I feel like that's pretty much what you have to do. Against Stargate, I really like doing this. Like you can see the arrow point where it's going. This is basically the way you do it. You know, you go all the way around the map and then send it into the natural or something that throw turrets. And it's because if the Phoenix finds your Raven, it's probably gonna die. So if they're harassing you like this, or it's not probably gonna die, it's gonna die for sure. So if they're harassing you like this, you don't want your Raven to be chilling in your base because at some point it's gonna die. So against Stargate, you would just send it out. And what's good about this is that Phoenix are really good at harassing, but if there's a Raven here parking auto turrets in your base, they're gonna bring their Phoenix back to kill it. So it buys you a lot of time, basically. And if you play against Twilight or Robo, they don't even have any chance to kill it, so it's just gonna be chilling in the corner. But if you do play against Twilight or Robo, you may want to keep it to anti-armor missile the Zealots, or to interference mate to the Colossus. And this is pretty much just preference. In this case, since I'm actually gonna do kind of an all-in, like a very heavy timing push, I like to have the distraction anyway, because it doesn't just spare their APM, but they may actually not pay attention to the push I'm doing. They may not realize how many barracks I have and stuff. So here you go. Now here's the difference with this strategy and most strategies, is that normally you have your setup like this, 2 barracks on the tech labs, 1 on the reactor, and then you make 2 reactors with these. But this game, I want to do a tank push. So I'm gonna make a tech lab here instead, and start making tanks, as you can see. And now Raven here is gonna do some nice auto turrets. I have to say, Neve is playing very safe, so it's probably not gonna be too much with the batteries. But still, it's a good distraction. Then you're gonna get your 4th gas up. Still just making units. You're also gonna need some Marauders with this push, by the way. It's not just all Marines. A lot of times when I say Marine tank, it's just actually Marine tank. But with this push, you're actually gonna have to make some Marauders as well. So this is another big switch up. Is with this build, you actually go for 5 barracks. And this is because this is a really dedicated push. Normally, you will always get your third CC before. But with this build, you're actually going to go for a 5 barracks instead. And always try to hide these, by the way. This is like this, since this is different from normal builds, you don't just want to put your barracks here. These are the kind of barracks that you would build like behind your mineral lines, or on some maps maybe even here. But since you had Phoenix, I decided the best place I could build them were like on the left side of my main base, you know. Put some Marines here, as you can see, and some here to deny the scouting, and that's it. But if you play against like a Twilight Robo, maybe you want to build them here, but just make sure to hide them a bit. Like them scouting it is not the end of the world, but they're probably gonna know what's coming. Or at least have a better idea, right? So very important as well is that you stop SCV production at some point. Like you want to be able to afford your barracks. So at most you go up to 47 SCVs, and I say 47 SCVs because usually you will have 3 SCVs building something. So that means 44 is maximum saturation. But here, since I already lost a bunch of SCVs, I lost 6 SCVs to the Phoenix, I really need to get my barracks down, so I cut a little bit early at 44, which is also just fine. But here you can see, even though I have max SCVs, I have only 14 on this mineral line, and only 14 here. Because I'm building these 2 barracks still as well. But make sure to cut SCVs appropriate, and never make more than 47. Like, even if you transition, because this is not an endless salon, it's kind of like the brick in TVZ, you know. You're gonna hit hard, but at some point you're gonna transition, make a 3rd command center, or a 4th in the bricks case. And then once you get all your upgrades ready up, combat shields, concussive shells, and that 3rd tank. If you have a build where you just make tanks right away, like in this case where I went straight for the Cyclone, I was able to put another tank in there, you're gonna have 4, but sometimes you're just gonna have 3, that's fine as well. Now, I'll just show you how this attack works out. Why I said this build's really good for this map is because what I like to do is push over here and siege the tanks right here, and then you can lift over. And that's why this build is really good on this map. I'm actually going to show you guys a quick clip of that after this game. So you guys can see how that looks, how that works. But here in this game, I felt like I just had enough to straight bulldozer through, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. But if you want to stick to the plan, just pushing here is good, you know, take it easy. As you can see, these batteries would all just die. But I scanned what he had, and I didn't think he had enough, so here we go. Now, quick tip, if you guys saw that, I put the Marauders at the front, and that's actually very important. You can see I clicked the Marines back. So if the Colossus automatically shoot, they would most likely focus the Marauders. Here, I have to admit I was a bit lucky that Neeb didn't micro that well, because this Colossus is just shooting this tank. So it should have been a bit closer. But yeah, as you can see, just straight bulldozering through. This build is a lot of units. I think against Stargate this is especially pretty good. And just like that, and this is a pretty big map as well, guys. This is not like I don't know, I did a meme on a short map. This is actually a pretty big map. But now let me show you guys what it looks like if you do it according to the plan and push over the minerals. So here you can see that we are in the exact same situation as last game. But this game, my opponent decided to go for the Zealot style instead of the Colossus. So I felt like my plan was perfect. This was actually the first time I tried this push. So as you can see, what we're going to do here, we're going to abuse these minerals like I said before. And it's going to be super hard for the Protoss to deal with. Now, behind this, one thing I have to add that I didn't say before is that usually I leave these 2 barracks without add-ons, because I just want to make Marines as fast as possible behind it. Like, reactors take too long, but you want Marines to reinforce against a lot of Zealots, for example. So those 2 barracks are actually not going to get add-ons for now. If I give them add-ons later, it's just going to be according to the pattern. If you play against Colossus, double Tech Lab. If you play against Gateway Unit style, Tech Lab and Reactor. So here you can see what that's going to look like. I'm just going to push an elevator over here. Now if you play against Stargate, this Cyclone, and yes, like of course the Marine count, which you always have, but this Cyclone is especially important to keep, because you can just park it right there, and it's going to be annoying the Phoenix off. Else you might think, you know, what's there to protect my my units from just getting lifted? Well, usually you want to park the Cyclone right here and just lift some Marines over, and it's going to be really annoying for him to deal with. It's actually mistargeted the battery. And here we go. He's going to have to commit, because if he doesn't commit, he's just going to slowly lose all of his stuff over time. But because of that 5 racks, because of the early build, we just have so many units that, even though this is not a good positioning by me, if I would have to advise you guys how to do it better, you at least need some units here to have a concave. So this was not a good position by me at all. I just have too many units for him to just go all the way around and still challenge me. So as you can see, we're going to crush him here. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. I'm going to take this game a little bit slow. Like, this was a tournament match and I didn't want to throw it away by just YOLOing in. So yeah, I just wanted to show you guys what it looks like if you actually follow the plan and push according to this path. I'm going to... attach these 2 replays, as well as a replay against Gerald, which went really long, so you can see what it looks like when you transition out of this game. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys are feeling ready for the new map pool with this build at least a little bit. And don't forget to sub a like, and see you guys next time. Adios.